What is going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 47. I'm your host, Marcus, and in this episode, we are talking about making the world a better place. Now, this is a particular subject that kind of came to the forefront from one of the people I really admire, Jim Rohn. I've listened to a lot of his stuff. I know he was one of the early adopters that really exploded the self help space. And so, this particular topic was always really interesting to me because you always hear about that statement, essentially any situation you get in, you should always look to leave it better than what it was when you came into that space. And so I think this is a great concept. And when you start bringing the aspect of your life and trying to make it better than essentially how it is, how the world is. And right now the world is just in a lot of chaos. And being said, what piece of the puzzle, right, can you bring to the table that makes the world a better place? And I've talked a lot of different times about how, you should only be concerned about the things you can actually control and how important that is, because a lot of times we tend to think that we have more control than we actually have. We have to really look at that and adjust on those particular things on how we can really truly make change. And I realize it, right? Like, we're not perfect. We're inhuman. We make mistakes. I'm not talking about those because a lot of times we can get hung up on the mistakes that we make and we think that we can't do things better. But we fail to realize that every day is a chance, every moment is a chance to change and make it better. And so you must approach everything in a way that you are looking to make it better. You're looking to make this world a better place than what it was before you came into the world. And that's what Jim Rohn talks about a lot, and how to approach the world and looking to make things better, looking to improve people's lives, because you realize that, when you talk about trying to find fulfillment in life, you always find the best fulfillment when you are helping somebody in some way, shape, or form. And for me, it's always been, it's not just going out and giving people money. For me, it's more about teaching people. For me, it's more about giving people perspective. And that's why I have like Discover Ignite, is to do that, is to help people get perspective to change their life and see the changes that they want, and realize that just because you don't have a reference point that you could achieve it. So it's hard for you to overcome that hurdle, but I'm here to try to help you overcome that hurdle. And so in doing so, I try to provide different tools and different aspects, perspectives, different stories, and everything else to help you try to get that aha moment that really makes you want to change things and realize that you are capable of doing things, that it is definitely all in the mindset, and changing your mindset can change the way you view the world. And so being said, when you start talking about, changing the world and trying to leave it better than it is, it's not thinking you have to take on the world. I'm not saying you have to take on the world. I think everybody has their purpose and everybody has a specific gift. And I think it's sharing that gift with the world. It makes the world a better place because you have something inside you, right? There is something that everybody has. For me, I think I have a burning fire to lead people. I don't know why it's always been that way. I've always felt like I've had to step up to the plate because I see some people being fearful about things, and for me, it's more, well, I could really care less what someone may think of me, but I'll take the lead to help and show other people that it's possible. And in doing that, that is what helps others, hopefully inspires others to want to take control and do something in their lives and think that you can do it. And that is one of the biggest things, one of the biggest aspects of the whole thing, is that you don't have to take on the world. You just have to do you. You can make the world a better place by finding that thing, that desire you have, and going through with it and creating something with it, because you will inspire people in your life, even though sometimes it doesn't seem that way. And I know a lot of times it doesn't seem that way. You may not have a YouTube channel, you may not have a podcast, you may not do whatever the case is, but you are inspiring someone by the actions that you are taking. And a lot of times people are rooting for you and you don't even realize that that is something that is happening or occurring until later down the road when you feel like you want to give up. And then you have that conversation with that person that you truly trust, and they tell you, don't give up. You do so much for me. And then you realize that you are changing the world. You are leaving the world in a better place than which you came in on. And that's what matters. And I know it's very easy. People talk about, building reputation and building, bringing a lot of happiness and joy into people's lives, but people will judge you on the one bad thing you may have done. But you have to ultimately understand the people that know you, maybe that bad decision isn't as bad, right? Maybe it was just a weak moment. We have to understand we all have weak moments, right? But just try to make those as minimal as possible, right? If my whole thing is if you think you're flawed or everybody else thinks you're flawed or flawless, excuse me, I think, at that point, it's like, how much have you really pushed yourself? How much you've really gotten out there and tried to help people? And realize that, yes, sometimes you're more stressed than others. Yes, sometimes, you are at weak points, right? You should pick people up in their weak points, not put them down or judge people for a weak point. Yes, there's some things that have some major consequences. Yes, I understand that. And some things, may not be tolerable, but there are consequences to those things. As long as that person owns that and is aware of that, and maybe they try to go out and improve the world tenfold because of mistakes that they've made. But that is not your choice to decide. Ultimately, understand we want to try to make it better. And I know in a current environment, it's really hard to see because so much is going on and things are so hard. And, a lot of times you get locked away, and it's hard to deal with just sitting and doing the same repetitive thing over and over. It's hard because there's not really much else you can do. But how can you make the world better? Maybe you're sitting at home, maybe you're watching TV and you feel like this stress and overwhelming and anxiety and everything because you just sit at home and you do nothing but watch TV, you binge watch, you end up finding yourself that you start binge eating, right? Which leads to other bad habits. And so instead, why don't you start thinking about other ways that you can change? What is something new you can adapt? Maybe you start a YouTube channel, maybe you start teaching people, making that change, making the world better just by doing that one thing that you've learned. Because everybody has something to teach, everybody has something to share. And that's what matters. And that's what helps the world become better. And stop judging people on what they're doing because it is not normal. And this is something I've always found that is really interesting with entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs will take on massive amounts of stress and going against the herd and being judged. But in their mind, they feel like they're doing the right thing. And in their mind, they're going to be courageous and go out there and put their necks out there to be able to do that. I'm not saying you have to be an entrepreneur. There's other ways you can change the world, right? There's something you have in you that you can share. And maybe it's just a small community. Maybe it's just your local community. Maybe you can get involved that way. Maybe it can be helping young kids get their lives together, make an impact some way, shape, or form. Everybody has their different niche that helps change the world. We're all essentially a big puzzle. That's why we're all unique, because we play our own little role in our lives, and we're changing the world in some aspect that we're not even aware of. But it's up to you to do that, to go out and do something for everybody else. And I understand a lot of times life happens, and this is why, you take a step back And a lot of times you have to refocus. I'm not saying burn yourself out and do stuff like this. You do need to put yourself first. You do need to establish yourself. You do need to make sure you have a solid foundation, so that way you can go out and do these things. And it's something I've always talked about and how important that is. You make sure your health is good. You make sure that where you're at financially is good. You make sure that all these other different aspects are where they need to be. And then you just start helping people along the way. It doesn't mean you have to go out and give your whole check to the next person to help them, to charity or whatever. Maybe you can do something to help charity raise money. Maybe you can go out and help people learn new skills to go out and get jobs that that help improve their lives. Or maybe you just give impactful speeches or motivational speeches, or maybe you just go out and help an old lady cross the road. Do something. Make it better. How can I make today better? You realize that a lot of times we're so focused on ourselves and what's going on in our own lives that if you could just look away from your life for a second and think about the next person next to you, right? And this is something I've always talked about. Like, when you're going to the store, and the man or woman that's ringing up all your stuff, just ask them how they are, ask them how their day is going, and just strike up a conversation, right? And people like that. You feel better just for having that conversation. And I know even for myself, a lot of times I fall into this lull where I'm so tied up in what I'm doing that I stop thinking about other different things that are going on. I stop thinking about the current environment I am, as opposed to just being in the moment. And a lot of times, you see so many people with their heads down, and people don't look happy for the most part. And if you just say, hey, good morning, or hey, how's it going? How's you doing? Oh, I noticed that, that Rita dog that you have there, is whatever mix, right? And just strike up a conversation. Let people know. And you realize just by doing this, you're making a change in the world, because ultimately we all are trying to help one another. And even though I do say it's important to be selfish, you need to be selfish when it comes to building the foundation. But then there's a point where you need to reflect out and not be selfish and connect. It matters and helps other people in whatever way you can do that. Maybe you draw comic books. Maybe your comics inspire other people to go out and fathom the courage to go out and take upon other challenges in their life that they wouldn't otherwise do. So it's important to go out there and do these things. It's important to make the world a better place, because again, you will find fulfillment in doing more for others than you will do for yourself. And even for myself, a lot of the different things I do, I try to build both. I try to build myself, build the things that I want, build my hopes and my dreams, my foundation, but also include other people. What I'm learning, whatever I'm learning, let me help teach you. Whatever experiences I'm living, let me help you through your experiences, because I've been there, I've done that. I know it takes a lot more. I know there's a lot of times you have people around you that are very supportive, but they can't always be there. And then it comes down to you. And even then, it's still even hard sometimes. You're never going to be 100% on trying to be a person that's trying to make the world better. And I'm not saying you have to go out and be happy-go-lucky 24/7, because no one can keep up that kind of energy. But what I'm saying is, you go out and you just do a little bit better, and you correct. You be mindful of what's going on in the current situation and try to correct it. Maybe it's just walking by and you see a young kid. This is something I've always loved, right? You walk by a young kid and they look up to you like, ooh, this guy's cool, or whatever. Like, I saw you on YouTube, or whatever the case is, right? And you just smile, right? And that makes their day. Right? They're curious. And I think that's one thing we've lost about ourselves, especially becoming adults, is like we've lost that sense of just enjoying your day, right? Someone smile and just enjoy your day, and how much of a difference that makes, because we're so caught up in our own stuff. Let's just be a kid again in that aspect. Be playful, be curious, enjoy life. Like, we need to bring that back, right? Because I think when you get an adult, you like to take that, surgically remove that from adulthood, is what it seems like it happens, because we lose that sense. And it's just all about trying to provide and pushing and working more than we should. Now people are starting to realize that, yes, you should have balance in your life. Balance is important. But how do you do that? So these are key aspects to really look at in your life. I wonder, how can you make it better? I know for myself, there's a lot of different things I could do to make it better. And I find like certain times, again, I can get in cycles to where I'm just head down, and I'm working so hard on what I'm trying to accomplish that a lot of times I forget, and I have to take a step back. And when I take a step back, maybe it's just in a moment, and I'm like, you know what, Marcus, maybe you should make somebody else just smile today, or make those people that you love and care about, right? Just send them a message. Hey, I hope you have a fantastic day. Just out of the blue, right? If you could do more things out of the blue, even surprise yourself sometimes, you can make a lot of people's days. And I'm not always happy-go-lucky. And yes, I stress. There are moments I get angry. There are moments I'm really happy. There are moments when I'm in between. There are moments when I have motivation and moments I don't have motivation, right? I don't come on here and try to push an image of perfection, because that's not at all what I am. Nobody is perfection. And I think a lot of times we try to think everything is so perfect that once I get to this point, I think life will be perfect. Life won't get perfect. You always seek something different. You always look for different changes. So if you can look at the small things, and it's always about the small things. What is the smallest thing I could change today to make the world better? Maybe I could write a book that can inspire others. Maybe I could start teaching a swim class to inspire maybe the next greatest swimmer. What really matters is to look, again, beyond yourself. And a lot of times it's hard, especially if you are going through stressful times in your life. But I'm not saying you have to go out and push every single day and do that. Just be mindful of it. And how can I make today better? How can I make this world better? And now, even for myself, in the videos I make and the things that I do, right? Like, I want to help people. I want to help give people that perspective that will change their lives. Because when I was seeking change, it took for me to want to seek change and finding someone that gave me a perspective on something I was oblivious about. And it changed everything. It changed the way I looked at the world, and my whole approach, and not having guidance to having guidance and understanding where I wanted to go in life. That really changed. Having clarity. And then realizing that I could extend my reach in the fact that I've helped people, many people in my past. And for me, I've always been about that. I've always been about trying to improve that other person in the best way they can. And the best way to do that is to just go out there, be out there, put yourself out there, try to be a model for others to follow. Keyword is try to be, because you're not going to be perfect at all. You're going to make mistakes. Things do happen. But you shouldn't let that define your next steps, your next goals in life. Your key goal should be always to improve yourself first, because developing yourself is going to help you become stronger for others. Again, those people you don't see about, those people that don't say how you inspire them, you won't know these people until you step away, and then they'll come out and they'll tell you. majority of the time, or you'll see the look on their face. Because there were times in my life where I stepped away from things and I could see the disappointment in people's face or the confusion on why I would just leave. But there are moments where you need to make change, and some changes that you make, they're not going to be perfect. Some choices that you make for other reasons, not to improve the world, but maybe it's a learning lesson. And so you must learn a lesson to make change that is necessary for you to help more people. It's almost like you have to sacrifice one thing to impact more, and realize that there will be sacrifices sometimes to have more impact on certain things. Not to say that you're going to go out and harm people purposely. That's not what you're doing. You're not going to just leave that job purposely to impact those people's lives, but to impact even more people in some other way, shape, or form. And so you make the world a better place by going each and every day and trying to be as mindful as possible. Do something that helps you improve your mindfulness, like breathing or doing meditation or sitting in silence and realizing that you need to actually sit with your thoughts, organize your ideas. And then next time you're aware of something that's going on, you try to help them in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's just even brightening their day. Because again, even now, brightening someone's day means a lot more, I think, than it used to. And so we want to impact the world the best that we can. How can you go about your day? What can you do? What skills do you have that you can bring to help other people? Maybe you're an artist. Maybe you inspire people through your art. Maybe you inspire people through your music. Lift people up. How can you make this world a better place? Because we all have something. You are special. You have it. And you know what it is. Most of the time, you know what it is. But a lot of times we hold it back because we felt like we'd be judged over it. May not feel like we're good enough. Whatever the case is, whatever the reason is, there's a reason that gift was given to you. Piece of the puzzle, so we can all make this whole world a better place.